Ladies and gentlemen, it just got even more muscular up in here.
Real beefy.
Wow, real beefy. Real beefy. I'm between two beefcakes. Ladies and gentlemen, Shawne Lights Out Merriman joins us on The Fighter and the Kid.
Thanks, guys.
Inked up. And
well, I'm not the only one that's inked up.
This is true.
You might be the only one without tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, making you the oddball.
I never knew what I wanted to get. I couldn't figure out what kind of a tattoo. And I don't want to take away from the tone of my skin.
When you were coming up,
pink hue.
Hey B, when you were coming up, the tattoos weren't really.
When I was coming up,
there's like sailors with just.
When I was coming up in the
they'll get like Indian pins.
In the 1950s, when I was coming up, tattoos were very subversive. In fact, I called my dad when I was in high school and I said, I'm getting an earring, and my father hung the phone up on me. He thought that was.
How have you been, man? I've always.
You look like you're playing still. By the way.
You look in phenomenal shape.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, you know what it is? It's a regimen, right? So when you do it for so long, it's like, why stop?
A lifestyle.
And it's a lifestyle. And I can't imagine like getting up in the morning or going a couple of days without working out. It wouldn't even feel right. And plus, I don't think the NFL covers therapy. I don't think the NFL insurance covers therapy. So
it really
that's
doesn't.
It doesn't. That's my therapy session.
Like what? Like a typical day for you is what, as far as workout wise? Like you have a regimen, obviously.
Yeah. You know what? Now, since I'm not going against 350-pound offensive tackles, I'll go and do a 45-minute to an hour circuit training, right? So I'll just go 45 minutes straight, and then 15 minutes at the end, I'll just do a lot of stretching and stuff like that. So it's a bunch of jump rope push-ups, aerobic stuff, bands,
plyometrics,
right? And I'll go for 45 minutes straight, maybe 5 or 6 sets or 7 sets in 45 minutes, and I'm completely done after that.
So you're not doing like the heavy squat, power clean anymore.
No, you know what? Even if I do squat and I throw it into a circuit trainer, I'll throw that in as a set, as 225 or 275 for reps. Yep. And I won't go higher than that. And I'll keep going and I'm completely spent when I'm done.
Now, B, let me fill you on Shawne. I'm going to toot your horn a little bit here. So he was
rookie of the year.
Well, not even that. Forget all that. Yeah. But from his combine numbers, he was like the first like freak where people are like, what the fuck's going on here? Yeah. Are we from the same planet?
Yeah.
I mean, at 270, ran a 4.640, 40-inch vertical. Is that right?
Yeah.
41-inch vertical.
Yeah. That's nuts. And then he bursts on the NFL scene. I'll never forget it. And I'm three-time All-Pro, rookie of the. I mean, literally just took the league by fucking storm.
Storm.
But I remember, and I don't know if I've told you the story. So I literally had a cup of coffee with the Buffalo Bills, and my best friend got drafted in the second round in the 2006 draft, I think it was 2005, 2006. Anyways, we're at a NFL party here in Santa Monica at like a pool party. Uh-huh. And everyone's in suits. Everyone's like you're talking about Jay Rice there, Joe Montana there, and we haven't been around that many NFL players. Like I've been in Division I football, but the NFL is different. It's a different type of animal. And this giant man walks in with Vernon Davis, who was the first pick in the draft for the tight end, for the Niners. And Vernon Davis walks in. I remember thinking, he's not that big. I'm like, I tell my buddy Joe, who's a tight end, I went, look at that fucking D tackle. And he goes, oh my God, he's big. I'm like, yeah, good thing we don't play offensive line though. Am I right? And we like bump fists. And then as he gets closer, I'm like, bro, that's Shawne Merriman. And he goes, well, I went, that's the fucking guy we got to block. And he goes, shit. I'm like, holy fuck, they're big around here. Yeah, man, I'll never forget that.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
It's a different animal, and I had guys I looked at like that too. Started the game, and I remember Flozell Adams and just looking at all these huge guys. What's the Leonard Davis?
Oh my
God! I mean, when I saw him, I was just like, this is the NFL.
But it's got to be weird because for you and even for Brendan, like you guys are generally much bigger than, especially you, Shawne. I mean, you guys are generally much bigger than everybody else. And by the way, faster, stronger. You're more athletic. You just proved it. And then you get into an arena like the NFL where, the dude to the left and the dude to the right of me are just as athletic or might just be as
but Shawne went, very cool. I'm going to be first team All-Pro. Oh, yeah, no, you guys are cool. See ya.
The bane of every quarterback's existence.
But it's, the funny part is about that, right? So you have all like, your All-Americans and your first team and second team All-Americans in college, and guys who win these awards and best player this and best player that, they get to the NFL and they're like another guy. Right, so now you start looking at the talent level and say, oh my God, like, this guy was all everything in college. Nobody can block him or nobody can catch him. Yeah. He ran for 2,000 plus yards, and he getting there now. He's second string behind who? Like a LaDainian Tomlinson. I remember playing on a team, and then the Burner Turner, right? Michael Turner played running back.
Really good player.
Who backed up LT. Michael Turner scorched us in college when we played them. And, he was one of, I think, everything, whatever. He was playing behind LaDainian Tomlinson, but how can you argue with
one of the greats?
Well, one of the greats,
and Turner finally got his turn, no pun intended, and was a monster. Yeah. But he was just playing behind LaDainian.
It's unbelievable.
It's not.
It's so.
But it's funny to me when people talk about how, like, they go, well, like the 2001 University of Miami team could compete with a real bad NFL team. Like, oh no, you poor souls. No. Yeah. They would get absolutely shitted on.
Who is the hardest dude for you to tackle? And I have two questions, but that's the first one.
I'll never forget my introduction to the NFL my rookie year. We were playing the Steelers, and Jerome Bettis was back there.
The bus.
And so you hear about all these guys, right? And I got up for big players. So there's Ben Roethlisberger's over there, Jerome Bettis, and Hines Ward. So I'm seeing all these guys, and I'm like, I'm gonna try to knock him out, right? Yeah. I'm gonna try to hit his ass hard because that's what I was accustomed to in college. And they ran a dive play, and of course I'm playing outside linebacker, and I kind of fold over. Nobody blocks me, and he's running to the opposite side. He's running straight ahead. So I see Jerome Bettis. I'm gonna lay his ass out. Right, I'm just getting ready, and I see it. I'm gonna ear hole him right in the side. Right, and try to get him. I'm thinking in the game. This is in the game. I'm real life at the time. I'm gonna knock his big ass out, all 270 or whatever he was. I go and I hit him. And he was so big and round, I couldn't wrap my arms all the way around him, right? So I started from like a little around his shoulder pads, and I slid down to 2 or 3 more yards. I slid down 2 or 3 more yards. So 5 yards, I ended up catching his shoestrings, and then he fell. And I remember hitting the ground on my chest, and I'm like, oh my God, what in the hell was that?
The bus. Right? The bus.
And
the bus keeps on keeping on.
And what's funny about him is I've actually hung out. I was in a group when he was in Vegas, and I was around him, and I was studying him, and I thought to myself, when I see you, there's no question you're a professional athlete, pro football player. Jerome, when in clothing, can actually look a little bit, maybe a little bit
out of
overweight.
Shape.
Oh yeah, I mean he was
a Hall of Famer.
Like, he doesn't look like what you wouldn't say that's one of the best running backs ever.
Yeah.
Now here's my next question. Did you, and I love this kind of stuff, did you trash talk, did you get into the ear of a quarterback when you would sack the quarterback? Was there that kind of trash talking?
No, I was actually the opposite. I wasn't a trash talk at all, and I thought about playing with guys mentally by not talking to them. I would look them down all the time after I get a sack or after I hit them, and I would get up and just walk away because I wore a visor.
I feel like that's worse.
So it is worse. And
the mystery.
The mystery. You can never.
He's just a killer.
You can see my eyes. I mean, you couldn't see my eyes, but you can see my dark visors just looking at you. So I'm looking at you. I'm not saying a word. I'm going back to the huddle, and it's like, oh my, like what the hell was that? Like I don't know how to respond.
He's gonna be coming all day.
Yeah.
Were you in high school? Obviously, you're an amazing player. Highly touted, highly recruited, basketball, football. Did you know from a young age this is what you were going to do for a living? Like you knew you're an outlier, you know what I'm saying?
I would say my sophomore year, because I went to University of Maryland. I ended up making a verbal commit to Maryland my junior year.
And you just want to stay in town?
I wanted to stay in town. I wanted to stay home. I was, a hometown kid from PG County, Maryland. And they have these camps during the off season, all the high school camps. They come from all over Virginia and Delaware and Pennsylvania and New York. They all come to this college camp from high school to Maryland college camp. And all the coaches get a chance to look at you for the first time. And so for the first time, I got a chance to go against whoever the best was in Pennsylvania, whoever the best was in New York, whoever the best was in Virginia at this camp. And I'm just shredding this camp alive, right? I'm trying to knock everybody's block off. So they moved me up from my sophomore year. I think I was 16 or something like that. They moved me up with the seniors because I just couldn't be with my age group. So they had to move me up with the seniors. And when I was walking off the field and at the end of the camp, the college coaches came up to me and said, we want to offer you a scholarship. And I was 173 pound linebacker, middle linebacker.
Jeez.
And that's when I knew for the first time, it was like, okay, yeah, I got something here.
You're a little bit different than everyone else. And then when you got to college, I remember for me, there was a moment where I ran onto the field. And I remember thinking like, holy shit, this is it, man. Like, this is college football. Yeah. Look at everyone. I remember it was almost like a movie. Like,
exactly like a movie.
Right.
Yep.
It was just like everything was so clear, and I looked down at the jersey. It was almost like virtual reality.
Yep.
And I remember it just hit me. I was like, oh shit, you did it, man. You're actually going out here right now.
This is the big time.
Yeah. Was there a moment for you run on the field and just being like, holy shit?
You hit it. It's like a movie.
Yeah.
You walk out there and you see the crowd and you hear people, but you hear more of a wave. Right, you hear the people chanting, you run through the smoke and the tunnel, and then boom, now you got the sky and all these people. You got the cameras and you got the stuff over your head. Georgia Tech, my freshman year, we played Georgia Tech, and I was like, oh my God, that's Georgia Tech on the other side.
Yeah.
And that was also the first game that people really found out the meaning of the lights out.
Yeah.
I got in the game and a wide receiver by the name of Watkins came and caught a ball across the middle, and I'm dropping in the coverage, and I see him, and I know they're about to throw the ball to him, and I take off run, and I just launch at him. Boom, and I hit him, and I got up. He hit the ground. The back of his head hit the ground, which kind of knocked him out, and I got up and flicked the switch that's on my right forearm, and as I'm just moving my hand up and down, the crowd gets louder. And the crowd gets louder, and I start to jump up and down because I get excited from the crowd, and they got louder, so I go harder, and that's kind of where that whole lights out in the sack dance came from.
You went to kind of scratch your.
Yeah, I went to kind of just flick the switch with one finger on my forearm, and it's a crowd. They over excited me, and I got super excited, and I started to jump up and down along with them. I got to the sideline, and my coach, Ralph Friedgen, he said, if you ever do that again, you'll never play on this field again. And I put my head down. As I'm going down, my teammates, everybody came and smacked me on the head. My other coaches, hey, what was that move you did?
Yeah.
We love it. And I was like, I'm keeping that.
I don't know. So I agree not being disrespectful. I don't think that's disrespectful. I think it's better for the sport when these guys show their personality.
Theatricality. You're being theatrical.
But just be yourself, man. Like, if you censor everyone, it's like, dude, like, we don't feel like we
love watching art.
We want creativity.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
we like. I think people. It's partially entertainment. We like guys to have some color.
Is there any truth? I remember there's a rumor the lights out thing happened in college or in high school with you because you knocked out 3 or 4 dudes in a single game.
4. Yeah, 4. I was.
Think about it for a second. High school, and they're like, God damn! I'm sure they knew who you were. And I bet these 4 little dudes were like, what's the worst that can happen? Now let's go see how it goes.
Shawne Merriman.
Yeah, and it's true. It's funny because you're in high school, so we didn't have the YouTube sensations and all this stuff to go around. So it became almost a myth, right? And I'm going around. I got to college and the pros like, hey, did you really knock out 4 guys? So yeah, that's what happened. My sophomore year, we were playing the game. We were at home. And I knocked out the first 3 guys in the first half and 1 in the second half. And then after the game, people came right up to me and they was like, oh, man, you knocked those guys' lights out. And I said, yeah, call me Lights Out.
That's dope, man.
Right, and then that name kind of stayed.
So one of the things that you played for, I think, 8 years, right?
Yeah.
It's a long time in the NFL. And you did a lot of hitting and stuff. All we hear about now is CTE and concussions. You must think about that a lot, right? Or do you not?
Yeah, you have to, especially after all of this information is getting out there, right? So when we grew up and was playing, we were really taught to knock somebody ass out. Like that was the nature of the beast, and that was a part of the game just being violent in general. But now this information is out there, and you're more knowledgeable about what could happen. So you're not using your head as much. You're tackling properly. You're doing things the right way, which I think is great. You know, the NFL is trying to change a little bit, but they really need to start to culture down in high school levels on the way up.
But the problem is kids are still getting just as many concussions, right?
I wouldn't say just as many. But we just know about them more.
To me, don't you think that it's just part of football? Like you can only limit and teach kids how to tackle so much where it's a violent sport, man. It's like, you know, it's what you sign up for. And it's not for everyone.
And some people are built for it.
It's not even that. That's a terrible argument. It's not even that some people are built for it. There's gonna be brain trauma.
Yeah.
But what's the other option? Like say there's a kid from a lower income family. What's he gonna do? He runs a 4.6 40, has a 42-inch vertical.
Yeah. Is he not gonna play football?
Should he not because he's worried about brain trauma? It's almost like, it's like, fuck, man. Sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze for a lot of these guys.
And you know what? If they told us the players the same information a long time ago, I would say 95% of guys would still play.
Yeah. You wouldn't have played any different.
I wouldn't have played any. Hell no.
You would have got fined like a
Yeah. I would have been playing for free. No question.
You've been playing for free.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, you would have been paying them money.
Oh yeah.
They would have
I
tossed the flag
would
on
open
you.
up a community service gifting package. Give
For
it back
real.
to them.
Every game, like, my bad, here you go, my bad, here you go.
Yeah.
Don't you think that I feel like obviously there has to be protocols and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, and obviously America doesn't care because football's never been bigger. It's America's pastime.
Yeah.
We're aware of what's going on, but it's
Well, that's my question. I wonder, as you get to see, the more information you have, it's hard not to be more cautious. And I'm not even talking about players. I'm talking about the people that bring you up. So, how many kids are going to be kept out of football by people who, even former players who may have kids that have a lot of talent for it. You know what I mean?
And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair. I just don't think it's fair. All the things that's not only football but sports has taught me, right? I mean, there's just a discipline and overcome adversity, injury, and not getting too down on yourself, teamwork, being able to understand the people around you. Sports have taught me too much to tell my son. I have a 6-year-old son.
one.
One. Sports has taught me enough to tell him to keep him from playing sport. I just don't think that's fair for parents to say, you know what, I'm not letting my kid. You're gypping your kid out of an opportunity to experience something of a lifetime. Yes, he may not go pro. He may not play Division I football, basketball, whatever it is. But at the end of it, football, any kind of collision sport, you're taking something from him that's not fair because he's too young to make the choice on his own. I don't think that's right.
Knowing what you know now, would you have done anything different? Like, would you? Because I remember at University of Colorado, Gary Barnett was a guy where his whole thing was if we weren't playing well, we hit more. We just grind, man. We grind, hit, Oklahoma drill, nonstop, make the team
And explain
tough.
what an Oklahoma drill is like.
It's a hitting drill, so there's one defense guy, one offense guy down 3-point stance, then there's a guy with the ball, the running back, and there's a linebacker, and so it's 2-on-2.
You guys are going full out.
Oh yeah,
helmet to helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of my favorite drills, and I'm still 99-0. I've not been
99-0.
I haven't been scored on in my life.
God damn, good for you. Well, that's
90-something and
I'm sure you're all pro.
That's somebody who's supposed to be playing.
And if anybody scored at me, or even thought about scoring, I would just flip off. But
like, would you have? Because like Jim Harbaugh, Urban Meyer, they don't hit as much anymore. Like Michigan doesn't hit in season anymore.
Yeah,
they do training camp, they're done.
And because they realize they don't need it. You have your certain times where you can work on your technique because there is a technique of tackling and tackling properly. But when you get into college levels and you get into pros, you've been playing football long enough that if you don't know how to tackle, you probably shouldn't be there.
I agree.
You probably shouldn't be there. So at that point, it's about taking care of your safety. And back to the question of you asking, would I do anything different? What I would do different is some of the injuries that I've had, I would have taken time and taken care of them instead of rushing myself back or trying to play this gladiator thing because ultimately it cut my career short.
But wouldn't you say you had pressure from the organizations they play? Because you know how it goes. When you have an injury, they're like, let's go, man. Let's go. Especially at your level. Like they can't afford to have you out of the game. So, obviously the athlete should always want to return as fast as they can. But the organization, he's like, no. Hey, man, we need you around for a while. Let's take our time. Let's look at this. Let's get the proper surgery.
Yeah, no question. And I think that now they're taking it out of the athlete's hands just a little bit more, right? And it was some time that I could have went back or I probably should have stayed and rested a little bit more or I remember having a knee injury that I played 5 games with a torn PCL and LCL at the end of 2007.
That's nuts.
I had no back ligaments, and then when I came back, I started compensating for my Achilles, and that's how I ultimately ended up tearing it. But it wasn't a complete tear. It went a 10% tear, 20% tear, 30% tear, and it just slowly took down my game. And if I could go back and change changed anything, I would have had those surgeries and rested and got back and probably would have prolonged my career.
100%. But did you always, like, the bad knees thing's always fascinating me. So did you always have bad knees?
No. This was one big hit that I had that happened.
Nobody's knees are made for football.
No, you're not made to get cut blocked by a 320-pound offensive tackle.
Yeah, nobody.
But you have some guys who go their career without an knee injury.
Yeah.
Samoans.
No, there's actually a lot of guys who they have zero issues. That's why
Well,
I
you
was
didn't
wondering.
have a lot of issues all the way through
I didn't-
D1.
yeah.
I know, but D1 football still.
Yeah, but I didn't play linebacker. I was doing the cutting. I was a fullback H-back, so I'd cut a lot of guys. You know? So that's what you do.
So that's why we got to stay on the opposite sides here. You know? when fullback cut block, it was always the worst, right? Because you're looking like, okay, you're big, you're 230 or 40 plus, I'm 240 plus. We're going head up, and you're going head up, and then they go and cut you, and you like, you must.
Bro, I had a linebacker do it to me at Iowa State on the goal line.
Swear, Shawne, you can swear.
You can swear, yeah.
No,
I got Iowa State do it to me. He played for the Chargers too, middle linebacker. It was goal line. I was like, and he was supposed to be a high draft pick. I'm like, I'm gonna knock this dude's head off. Same thing, eye to eye. Last second, see ya,
Boom,
cuts me
legs out.
because it blocks up the hole, and then they made the play. My coach was like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, my bad.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. So when you got to the NFL, obviously you took it over by storm. Was there anything that surprised you? Was there anything where you're like, because you see, especially now, you see that movie, that show Ballers, right?
Yeah.
You see Ballers with The Rock and our boy Jay Glazer.
Yep.
You see all these guys. Was there anything where you got there and you're like, all right, this shit is crazy, man?
You know what? I walked into the locker room. It's so many Hall of Famers in there already, right? So you got LaDainian Tomlinson, Lorenzo Neal, Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates. These are all pro guys already. I mean, Donnie Edwards, who played in the league, forever. Jamal Williams. I walk into the locker room with these guys. So it's one thing to walk into a locker room with a bunch of vets, right? It's older than you. But it's one thing to walk into a locker room with some Hall of Famers and all pros. And they're like, all right, Rook, you're the 12th pick overall. What you going to do?
Pressure.
And the pressure was on, and I held out. The same thing that the Bosa's doing. Same type of situation. I held out, and I came in, and I was in shape, but not football shape.
Completely different.
Completely
There's nothing
different.
you do in the gym to get ready for
Nothing.
football.
You can run.
Why is that?
You can run all the sprints you want because it's straight ahead. And you can touch all the cones and do the X drills and Z drills and L drills, everything you want, right? Because those things are controlled. So think of you going and you have a pattern that you're going to run routes or do whatever. Everything is controlled. You know when to stop. You know when to go. You just going to get your workout. And in football, you change the direction at a split second. You turn the corners. You're going to the ball. You're twisting your hips. You're twisting your ankles. You're doing all the rolling around. And you're growing your knees, your lower back, your ankles are not all the way prepared to play football. So that's why you can't go and just work out and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm ready to play football. So I got there. And I remember the first couple of days, I was cramping up, pulling groins, and I held out. So I'm already holding out. So now the guys are looking at me like, who the hell does this dude think he's going to hold out? And I come in there, and now I'm cramping up, and I'm not in football shape. And these guys, and I'm on the sidelines, and I'm holding like my groins and my back, and I'm out of shape, football out of shape anyway. They're looking at me like, who the fuck is this guy, right? So I wasn't embarrassed, but I was like, man. I'm coming to the sidelines and LT like they're running sprints after practice, and I'm like holding my ankles and my lower back on the side, and I can't run with these guys icing up. I said, shit, man, this is embarrassing. But so there's no possible way to, and it's the same thing I said in Bosa's situation that he's going to have problems with when he comes back.
You know what though? Like you always see athletes, especially in football, when they hold out and the public puts so much pressure on. I'm like, well, this guy's an asshole. He's not a team player. You ask any of the players though, they get it. They get yours, man. Like Bosa's gonna come back and no one's gonna be like, that was ridiculous. What are you doing, man? The team needs you.
You get hurt and your career's
you
over
get yours. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
As much as the team game,
crazy.
you have a limited window, man. You got to get paid, and everyone understands that.
Yeah, and you know what? The fans are supposed to be mad, right? Because they're fans. They just want to see their top draft pick on the field. So I get that. The players, we all know it's a business. We understand. We hope that we wish you were there because it's like, okay, you got drafted for a reason because we needed you at this position, and maybe the guy who's playing in this position can't get it done for us right now, so we need you here. We're out here sweating. We're out here running. We wish you were here. But we understand the coaches, they can't open up their playbook. You know, certain plays in the Chargers playbook that the defensive coordinator, John Pagano, who coached me also there.
Phenomenal coach.
Yeah, great coach. He can't do because Bosa's not there. Because you know it's certain plays that Bosa's going to make that whoever's there at that current moment, he might not be able to make. So it's like, damn, you can't even really get, you know, exotic with your playbook because certain guys are not there.
It's frustrating, but again, remember, it's not Bosa, and it was never Shawne. It's his agent in the front office.
Of course.
Obviously, Shawne and Bosa want to play as much as they can, but it's not up to them. If it was up to them, they'd go play right now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They'd go play right now.
Yeah.
Do you think a guy like Bosa is going to be a difference maker right away?
Yeah.
So Bosa, first round draft pick from Ohio State. I've seen him in person. Kind of know the guy. Freak.
Yeah.
First time I went to Ohio State's practice, Urban goes, watch that guy. And I think he was a sophomore, and he goes, he'll be a first round pick in the NFL. Watch that guy. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Monster.
Yeah, and you know what? He's a football guy. I got a chance to sit down and talk with him and watch film right after he got drafted. I was in San Diego, and we watched film for a couple hours there.
That makes sense.
And he's football minded. He wants to do everything football. He sleeps it. So I'm not really worried about him having that many problems when he comes back. He's a workhorse, you know, for one.
Has a motor.
He has a motor for days. So when you're at that position, it's not like you're a wide receiver or quarterback when you come back and it's like, oh man, our timing is going to be off with patterns. We got to get on the same page. No, at that position, it allows you, that Bosa's in, to go out and make plays and be an athlete. So he'll be behind the curve a little bit on the playbook. He's going to be, you know, if a guy on the offensive line or tight end shifts and motions on the other side and the play changes in 1 or 2 seconds, his head's going to be spinning a little bit.
He's going to be a beat behind.
Yeah, he's going to get beat. They quick snap the ball because he's trying to figure out what call it is and looking back at the linebacker because they can't communicate. He's going to be slow in those things. But as far as if it's time for Bosa to just go, pass rush, get up the field, make a play, or stop the run, he's gonna be completely fine.
What do you think, besides quarterback, is the toughest cerebral position on the field? The position that really requires the most strategy, the most thought, the most difficult.
I would say the middle linebacker. Because the middle linebacker controls the whole defense.
He's the quarterback for the defense.
He's the quarterback for the defense, and if something happens, he has to relay that call to the guys in front of him, which is the D lineman, and the guys behind him, which is all the DBs, the defensive backs. So
when you came into the pros, you were this physical freak, but you also had to.
He was outside.
Well, I was the outside.
Okay, yeah, you were outside linebacker.
Yeah, so I was, in my position, I was called to do, because I played the strong side linebacker.
Right.
And the strong side linebacker normally was a guy who either dropped well in coverage, or you had to cover running back out of the backfield, and you had to learn how to play the run and pass rush. So athletically, I had the most to do on the field.
The toughest job.
job.
And I think outside linebacker, especially this day and age, and you were kind of the poster boy of this, where the 3-4 defense, those outside linebackers were the biggest freaks, because it used to be a real big guy.
Did it start with Lawrence Taylor? Did he invent that position?
Well, he was straight DN kind of.
Yeah, he pass rushed more than
Yeah, he's all pass rush, but he wasn't dropping back in coverage and making all these plays. But a guy like Shawne Merriman, and you know how the NFL is a copycat league. So Shawne Merriman came in, wreck shop, could cover, and then they're like, all right, we need more guys who can do that. And then you see this trend of big, fast, smart guys playing in the 3-4. It kind of changed the game. Like you look like an Alden Smith. You look at all these monsters now. Yeah,
Alden's just.
He's a terrible example because he's not playing. But you know what I'm saying.
He's not playing. Okay.
Well, no, he got suspended again.
Let me ask you this, because I read this article that Brennan had sent me. Your life is so structured when you play football, especially in the NFL. Structured, man, to the last, minute. When that's all taken away after 8 years, and you've done a really good job of adjusting, okay? How difficult was that for you?
You know what? The first year of everything is always extremely tough, right? Because this transition that you have to go through. Think about this. Somebody's told you what to do, what time to get up, what time to work out, what time to go to film, sometime what time dinner, and what time you're supposed to go to sleep since you're 12 years old, 13 years old, right? You do this your whole life. You go through from Boys and Girls Club or Pee Wee League, you go to high school. High school, you go to the pros, and then pros happen. It's like, what else? There's nothing else anymore. So you go through this transition period where you don't know like what you're going to do next, because that structure is not there. And you almost have like this athlete's mind that to still keep up with everything you're doing, but you're not an athlete anymore. So you have to mentally and physically be able to move away from the game into real life. And one thing why I love working with the military, why I have such a close relationship with people, guys in the military, because I think mentally it's very the same. And what you go through, and I feel them when they're going through, when they're done with combat, when they're done with doing their service duties and everything, they come home and you have to make this adjustment to life, and it's so hard. Because everybody in the real world doesn't think like an athlete. They don't know what it's like to, put your finger back in place to get back in the game.
It's an extreme existence, right?
It's like what now? Like, where do you put your energy? Like, you were putting your energy in this one goal where it's, like you said, Pop Warner, high school, college, then I get drafted. There's a blueprint. I can see the ladder of where I'm going.
Yes.
And then you get there and it's like, all right, man, what am I going to do with all this energy that I've used all this energy? Now what? And a lot of guys get in trouble because, and you should be focusing on the sport, whether it's MMA or football or basketball, where the hell it is. At the time, if you want to be one of the best, you have to focus on that. But you should have a team helping you out, kind of directing you towards, all right, man, when you're done, we're setting this up.
Well, doesn't that begin in college? Like for me, like I've only read a little bit about NCAA. It feels like college football is a corrupt business. And here's what I mean by that. You take young men, you give them a scholarship. Most of them are not going to make the pros. The ostensible sort of perk is you're going to get an education. You're not getting an education for the most part. You're majoring in football. So now you got a bunch of guys who come out, most guys who come out, they've had their glory years, which is 4 years, maybe 3 years, whatever it is. They have really no education.
Yeah.
And the NCAA didn't pay you. They made money off you, though, a lot of money off you. They made money off your jersey. But thank you so much for the memories. You probably got some injuries as well, and you don't have an education because we needed you for our game that we were making money on. Thanks a lot, and that's your education.
Correct. Yeah.
To me, it feels unethical. It feels immoral, and you're not preparing these young men, most of whom are not going to make it to the big show, for nothing but disappointment.
Yeah,
change that?
Yeah, no question about it. But you also have to realize that things are changing. I mean, now that people are putting so much pressure on the NCAA, they make what happens is when things come to light, and when now it's out in the opening, now everybody is looking at it like, oh, damn, that is wrong. And before, for the last decade or so, they've kind of just been sweeping under the rug. But now media and everything is so big that now you can't sweep it under the rug anymore. You have to answer real questions. Why aren't these athletes getting paid? Why are you selling their jerseys and video games and they're not getting a dime?
How about the bowl games?
Yeah, the bowl games. And look, don't get me wrong. I think that everybody's a student athlete first. And whoever wants to say that athletes in college shouldn't get paid because they're getting scholarships, I'm sorry, regular student is not. You're not bringing money to the university.
No.
Correct.
You're not. You're not making the universe. You're not. Nothing or not much that you're doing is building a new student union. You're not getting a new center there for something. You're not getting a new.
This facility?
Yeah.
A lot of it was due to Shawne Merriman getting a bunch of sacks and Maryland going to a bowl game.
Sure.
All those nice facilities, whether it's your little recreational center, your library. The football pays for all that.
I bet.
Yes.
Yeah, but that would never be brought up. It's almost like, a guy that's making $4 million a year and they're holding out of camp because they won 5.
But
right?
Here's a hard question: is it possible? Like, because I know, talking to Brendan, that football when you're in college is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Is it
Full-time
possible to get a good education with that kind of?
Well, you can. I mean, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like we were that great in football in Maryland all the time, and we just didn't have to go to class. And I mean, we had to go. We had study hall hours and stuff like that. But at the same time, I couldn't take a business course because it was the same time as practice, and that's what I would have loved to major in. But it wasn't a possibility for me because we had practice.
What'd you major in? Communications?
Criminal justice.
Of course.
Which was my...
Three. Criminal justice, sociology, or communication.
Yeah.
All of us. All of us.
And you know what? I was into it, but you know the 3 or 4 things that I could have majored in, I had no interest even doing it. And I see criminal justice there, and I was like, fuck it. You know? Criminal
Might
justice.
as well.
Yeah.
Might as
Well, you told me a story about a great athlete who will remain nameless, but who didn't know how to spell chair.
Yeah.
And then I think by the end
He
of
got
the 4
his
years,
diploma behind. When
still
I'm getting my
didn't know how to
diploma,
spell
I
chair.
turn around and I see him like, God damn it.
man, oh man.
Yeah.
But with the NCAA, it's such a double standard, and we don't have to get too much into it. We'll move on after this, but it's like, you know, Nick Saban, Jim Harbaugh are making how many millions?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they deserve it, right? The money they bring in, the talent, they're amazing coaches. The players are the ones who are bringing the money as well, though, right? Like if you have a Heisman winner, something
Sure.
like that, you have a superstar,
Sure.
right? But let's say Shawne and I play for Texas A&M, and Shawne goes, man, I don't like the way I'm treated here. I'm going to go transfer to this team over here. The NCAA goes, no, buddy, you got to sit out a year if you're going to do that. But if Nick Saban goes, forget Alabama, I'm going to Florida. There's no repercussions.
Why do you have to
So
sit
it's in
out a
the
year?
coaches. It's in the coach's favor.
Why do you have to sit out a year? What's that
It's
rule about?
it's regulations that say if you go out either in the same conference or something like that,
Yeah.
right? You have to sit out a full year.
So
before
guys
you're
aren't
eligible
bouncing
again.
from team
I
to
just
team.
think give the players, let them earn money. Don't give it to them while they're attending.
You know what the
when they
problem?
graduate, right? Or-
Well, it's tough, because where do you start at? Because if you pay the football team and then the women's team at University
No,
of
because that's
Connecticut,
what he said.
the women's team at University of Connecticut, it's
but
going.
the football
whoa,
team is
whoa.
what brings in the revenue.
Well, it depends what school you're at. So you
Okay.
can't do that. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
It's not. It doesn't work like
I
that.
think there should be a revenue split based on what program is bringing in the money.
Because Kentucky's going, wait, our basketball
Basketball,
team,
yeah.
this football team not doing shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Duke's going, yeah, they're good.
So maybe
We're
you
Duke.
let the marketplace decide, right? Maybe you would do it by what kind of revenue, which
It's
you can,
very
which you can
complicated.
usually
It is.
track.
It's so complicated.
It's very common, and that's what's been the major problem why it hasn't. Is
Yes.
if there was a pay scale to say, okay, everybody get $2,000 a month, right?
Sure.
Which in the off season you can't make $2,000 more than $2,000 for the whole off season working a job, or
Yeah.
$3,000, whatever it is. You can't make them over a certain amount, which is even more ridiculous. They can't say, hey, we're gonna give you $2,000 a month. Then field hockey's over there saying we want $2,000 a month. I'm like, you guys had 6 people at the game, right? But I guess that's probably been the biggest issue.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows how to attack it. They don't.
Now,
I think everyone agrees
Yeah.
the athletes should be paid, but no one knows how to really attack it.
Yeah.
It's so
I
complicated.
feel
man.
like it also depends on certain guys. Like I feel like you would have been, regardless of what, you would have figured your way through. You had this clothing company,
Yeah, lights out.
Lights Out,
Lights Out brand.
and that's an entrepreneurial notion and idea, right? So
Yeah.
And tell me about this clothing company.
Well, obviously my nickname was Lights Out, but in 2005, I actually looked up who owned the name and rights, and I bought it from a company right here in Irvine, actually, 2005. So I started selling T-shirts and hats at the games, and it did extremely well. But I was playing, so I couldn't really understand the industry. It wasn't full time. I was an athlete. When I retired, man, I got after it. And I expanded the line. I actually have a few humongous announcements coming out. It's sold right now, lightsoutbrand.com. We hit retail this fall.
Good for you.
So, we want to compete with the best. You look at some of the best apparel lines out there and fitness apparel. And I not only know the athlete, but I know the industry. And I'm a fan of just working out, just the lifestyle in general. So
Are you
we
a
started
fashion guy? Because this guy's fashion.
Well,
To your left.
so the Lights Out is a combination, right? It's something you can go up the street and get coffee in or tea, or go to a quick meeting, or you can go work out in it. And
I wear special shoes for tea, so I'll be looking up.
you got your T-shirt.
I got my t-shirts, bro. I got my t-shirt.
It's like a smoke jacket, but it's T-shirt.
You are correct, sir.
Right.
I need my smoke jacket from you, and I need my t-shoes.
Did a lot of this inspiration come from when you were injured? Because as an athlete, there's nothing worse in the world than when you're hurt and you can't play.
Oh,
And
God.
you've had some, I mean, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, brother? Like, you
Yeah,
missed
yeah.
a lot of the season. They're dark, dark days, man.
It is hard because, one, you can't do what you love, but two, you can be in practice, in the training room and icing whatever you're icing as guys walking out there in the field and they're about to practice or they're getting ready for a game and you got to sit there and watch.
How'd you get through that?
You know what, man? I worked out obviously a lot. I had other stuff going on with lights out, and I was just preparing for just different things. My mind was always going. I just would never stop, would never satisfied with just doing one thing. I ended up doing signed a deal with Fox Sports where I hosted a show with Jay Glazer
Yeah, I
and
watched
Eddie
it, man.
George in 2008, I believe. When I was injured, I missed that whole year. So I kept myself pretty occupied with other things that I love to do. But at the end of the day, nothing really takes over that feeling you get from playing football. You know, don't get me wrong. I love everything that I'm doing, and the closest thing that I got is that high running out to the stadium is then when I see everybody wearing lights out. That's the only thing that gets me to that level of how I used to feel when I got a sack.
But that ambition, I wonder if you were a physical freak. You figured that out very early, so you got a taste for football. You learned a lot through sport, but it feels like your personality is you're a very driven guy. And do you think that came from being a physical freak and getting a taste of football and learning that, or do you think that was your personality to begin with?
Yeah, that was my personality to begin with, and you know, I grew up in very tough upbringings, and I've been homeless, you know, several times.
There you go.
And then it's one of these things that it's something in you when you're young, right? So it doesn't matter what you do. Nobody told me when I was a kid that I was going to be 3-time All-Pro or I was going to be Defensive Rookie of the Year. That wasn't even when I went to high school. Nobody even went to Division I school before I did. No one even went D1. So I was the first player from my high school to ever go D1. So
you grew up where? I'm sorry.
Prince George's County in PG, Maryland.
Okay, right, Maryland.
And no one told me that I was going. I just knew I had to be great in something. And football was something that I ended up being great because I love to do it, but I was just told to be great at whatever I do. And it's like,
Who told you that?
My coaches growing up, I mean, my family, I just I couldn't do anything unless I was great at it. It didn't matter what I did. And talking about the NFL from where I came from was like a fairy tale, something you read in a book. It just didn't happen.
But you came up hard. You didn't have a lot of money growing up. Tough family life and all that?
Yeah, man, just, tough family. Grew up, in Fordsville, Maryland, with a lot of people know in Capitol Heights, District Heights, closer to D.C. I ended up going to high school in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, Frederick Douglass.
I know that area because I went to college in American University.
Yep.
Not a football school.
Yeah. Did they even have football?
They had wrestling.
Oh,
Didn't wrestle there either, but keep going. And soccer. I didn't play that either.
Yeah, so you kind of know the areas and stuff that I grew up in.
Did you grow up with a father?
No. My dad actually is so funny. My dad, we didn't start having a relationship again. I didn't talk to my dad for maybe 11 till about 3 years ago.
Yeah, till you were all pro.
Yeah, well, no.
That's what's up.
No. I was done.
Bitch.
I was done actually playing. I was done actually playing, and I was the one that reached out, and we have a great relationship now, man. I couldn't be more happier.
Good. I'm so curious about this because my dad loves the shit out of me, so I can't relate to this, but. Was there anger towards him? Like when you reached out to him, or because for you to reach out, I think is unheard of, right? Usually it's the parent who's like, God, man, I feel like a fuck up. I got to reach out to my son. He's successful. He's doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
So for you to reach out to him, we're just like, Dad, we got to get together, man. We're blood. Let's just kind of because I feel like if one of my parents did that to me or my brother, I would have so much anger. Be like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, but you go through that as a teenager. You go in that when you're younger. But when you start to get older, it's like, what am I mad at you? What am I mad at you for? To tell you to go to hell? Like, no. Because we're the same blood. If I want to know more about me or myself, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you.
Do you
think that void of not having your father is what pushed you to get to greatness? Because it's kind of like, all right, Dad, watch this.
No, I was always like that myself. It was almost like if you told me I couldn't do something, like when I heard my freshman year when I was at Frederick Douglass that nobody ever, and we had some pretty good players that played before me and they, went to played varsity, and they were talented players, but they ended up getting in trouble or something happened or they didn't have the grades and they never made it. So when they told me my freshman year, it was like, hey, nobody's ever made a D1. We're never gonna have a D1 player. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
You know, and that was my attitude.
Thrive off that.
I was thriving off of that, and my freshman, you know, same thing. When I got to University of Maryland, I only started 1 year. I only started 1 year at the University of Maryland. My first 2 years, I came off the bench and I was, up there leading the ACC in sacks. I started 1 year, and I heard that you can't leave early, man, because you only started. You only got 1 year under your belt. I was like, what?
That's all I need, bitch.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'll never forget. Jamal. I was talking to this is my rookie year in San Diego in 2005. I didn't start until the middle of the year, seventh to eighth game of the year, and I remember talking to Randall Godfrey, who played linebacker in San Diego, and then our D tackle Jamal Williams, and I was like, I'm going to the Pro Bowl this year. And I wasn't starting yet.
Which is unheard of.
Which I wasn't starting yet. And they told me that, and jokingly, and they told me that I was being cocky or I was being arrogant. And I said, okay, watch. And I got on there and I had 11 sacks in 8 games or 9 games or whatever it was.
And so your dad, you say, you and your dad are very similar. In what way?
It's so,
genetically, it's just their personality.
I'm going to tell you how freaky this is, right? So my dad came to one of my last games when I played in Buffalo. He got a chance to see me play in person. And he was looking at me and looking at some tattoos. Me and my dad got the same dollar bill tattoo on our forearm.
Get the fuck out of here.
We got 2 of the same tattoos in the same places.
That's crazy.
And I haven't seen him in almost.
By the way, I'm sorry, but you got a dollar bill tattoo too. Could you have gotten $100 bill?
It's a $56 bill, but he had a bill.
Sure.
In the same place.
Same thing.
Same place.
How did that conversation go between you and Dad the first time?
It was cool actually. It was a lot of questions, obviously, and
ton of questions.
It was a ton of questions, and it's over time, man. You just started to catch up on everything. And once you catch up on everything, that was like, okay, all right, what you got going on now? So now we're all caught up, and now we all past everything. So we talk all the time now, and
Did he watch you play when?
Oh yeah. He always watched me play, and he can tell you everything, from high school on up.
Yeah, now, was Dad a big guy? Did he play ball, or could he have?
No, my dad ran track. Actually, my dad, I think, still holds some state records back in Maryland. My mother played basketball, so I had.
Yeah,
I have a lot of friends who their father was in their life, and then they have kids, and a lot of them learned what not to do as a dad. They're like, dude, yeah, obviously I'm not going to do that. And they're like super dads. And then I have some buddies who are professional athletes who didn't have a dad, and it gives them an excuse to not be around and present. So I think I've never seen really a middle ground there. It's either one or the other, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and my dad he's like me. He's no excuses. Straight up. No excuses. And I don't believe in excuses. I never have, and he doesn't either, which was great. It wasn't like, I don't know what happened. No, it was no excuses, which made it better and easier.
Sure,
way easier to handle.
Way easier to handle.
He's forgiven too. He took responsibility. You guys are together, and that's what matters.
Right, exactly.
That's huge, man. That's real growth especially on his part, and closure and all that stuff.
This should be an interesting question for you. So one of my role models growing up was Junior Seau. Literally, I mean, dude, I wore 55. He was my guy. I put the visor on. I'd wear a shirt. He had a brand, Seau. Remember that? Seau.
Yep.
And it was in like JCPenney. He was like one of the first athletes to really mark it out like that, kind of what you're doing now. Did you have a relationship with Junior Seau? Because if you mention San Diego Chargers, you cannot do it without saying Junior Seau.
You can't. It's impossible. And he, to me, Junior Seau was always like a superhero. Right, because
15 years.
I guess if you're in San Diego, West Coast, well, if you're everywhere else, Junior Seau as a player that played almost 20 years or whatever it was. It's outstanding, incredible linebacker, just a beast. That part of him. But with the people in California, Southern California, and San Diego, and in that area, all the way down from here all down to San Diego, Junior Seau is everything. This was somebody who. Dedicated and devoted his time to the community, did everything for everybody, spent more time working out, giving back. Just you can't even really put it into words. His work ethic. I remember in 2005 when I got drafted, I got a chance to work out with him during the off season. And he used to have this thing called like the Breakfast Club. You know, he'd work out like 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, Junebug is in his like 15th year, something like that at the time, maybe, if maybe longer, or around that time. I'm like, what is he? Or 13th, whatever it was. I'm like, why is he? How is he? How?
Yeah.
You're in double digit. Yeah, you're in double digit years, and you're still going
That's
around
why.
like this. It's ridiculous. And I had a mark already, right? In my head, mentally, I didn't want to be Junior Seau. I didn't want to be better than Junior Seau. I wanted to be the best Shawne Merriman. And I'll never forget, after my rookie year, it was a big article that came out in the Union Tribune comparing me to Junior Seau. And I was like, oh, no, God, please.
It makes sense, though.
Like, yeah,
but a lot of pressure,
you're talking about 11 to 12 straight Pro Bowls. I mean, you're somebody who just, if you said Sandy, even without football, if you said something about San Diego, you automatically start thinking of Junior Seau and what he did. So to even get compared or in the same breath was that I just didn't even know how to handle it. And I remember looking at that newspaper, the Union Tribune, I put it down. And I was like, holy shit, come on.
That's why you don't want to read press.
It's kind of like people always talk about how obviously good of a player Junior Seau. We all know that. Hall of Famer, one of the best of all time. To me, one of the signs, even though he was dealing with CT, probably the worst we've ever heard of from an NFL player, so bad where he shot himself. But he did it in a way where he wanted his brain to be studied so other guys didn't have to go through what he was doing. Think about this. And said, please analyze my brain because this is why I'm doing this.
Jesus Christ.
That's nuts, man.
That despair.
And I went balls deep into just reading about Junior's my favorite player, and his wife was saying how his mentality changed from the CTE and he was having dark days, but the one thing he could always rely on was the ocean. He would always go out the ocean
so he
every
would
day,
surf.
and he surfed nonstop, and he loved the shit out of it. And then she said she remembers, and this is like 2 days before he died, maybe a day before he dies, he went out to the ocean, and she went out there just to check him out, what he was doing, and he's sitting on his surfboard miserable. And she was like, oh shit. What are we going to do? Because that was like the one thing he had. And then shortly after that, obviously, you guys know how that movie ends. But you want to talk about a guy who was just so selfless and just wanted to help people out. In the most desperate times, he donated his brain. He's the first guy to do it.
Incredible.
It's nuts, man.
Yeah, it's
nuts.
It's actually heroic. Sorry,
and I remember, just the passion he played with, and his best friend, this white guy. I was at a UFC event, and his friend was backstage. There was someone, and we're taking a piss, and he had no idea I love Junior. Nothing like that. He goes, "Oh, Brendan Schaub, right?" Yeah. He goes, "Yeah, you were one of Junior's favorite fighters." I'm like, whoa, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah,
and tears, man, tears.
Yeah,
really?
Tears. Oh yeah. God. Tears, man.
Did he say anything about me at all?
No. Sorry, bro.
No, because I'm an actor, so I just thought.
I know. Yeah. He's like, I like
he kind of left you out.
But Shawne, I'm one of you're fanboying out right now. You're keeping it to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a small room. I got to keep my composure.
Let's jump into some current events with Evan the Cub.
You look down.
Right,
so just chime in on these, Shawne.
Yeah,
it's just current events of the day.
You got it.
First current event that we got to talk about is your boy Timmy Tebow deciding to make the jump, trying to transition into Major League Baseball. He's going to hold a tryout later this month, invited all of the MLB teams to come check him out, posted a video of him cracking some balls in the batting cages the other day.
Yeah.
Kid looks like he can hit some bangers.
Yeah, so he hasn't – so, yeah, it's like breaking news for TMZ and Fox Sports and ESPN and all this. So I'm obviously very close with Tim. So he's been training for this for about 4 years.
Wow.
For about 4 years, and it was always, I think, in the back of his mind. And people go, well, he's just doing it as publicity. No. It has nothing. He hates that stuff. And also, so Tom House, who's the throwing coach for Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, all these guys, Tim works with him. But he happens to be the best baseball coaching guy as well in America. So Tim was constantly around the batting cages. Well, Tim had, this idea that he's going to want to play baseball, and he's been training, blah, blah, blah. They bring in a pro pitcher to be like, all right, man, well, we've seen you hit some balls like in batting practice, stuff like that. Let's bring in a legit pitcher and see how you do. Oh, Tim destroyed him. So that's where all this comes from, where Tom House, these other MLB scouts saw Tim play. Mm-hmm. Tim was actually...
Nobody works harder.
Well, that has nothing. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm saying
everyone works hard in baseball.
If he had 4 years, you can imagine that he's probably, it's not. So
yeah, but it's the skill. Like, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. You have to have the skill set. But Tim was a guy who he got the call to try out to go to training camp with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was swinging a baseball bat. Wow.
Yeah.
He was doing baseball, and his brother was like, "Yo, man, it's the Eagles." He's like, "Really?" And he's in the middle of baseball.
Oh. And it's funny. And Tim, he's a really good friend of mine as well.
Oh, you're supposed to come to the. Did you go to the charity event?
I didn't go this past year. I went 3 or 4 years.
That's
straight.
right. I've seen. That's right.
Yeah, I went. I went 3 or 4 years straight. And this is the thing about Tim Tebow. And I don't care what a lot of people want to say. And he should or shouldn't do this. He should or shouldn't. Yeah, he didn't pan out as a quarterback as everybody thought he would. He didn't have the success or whatever it is. I also think he put himself in a bad situation by going to the Jets.
Correct.
That's to start that. Tim is going to put 110% effort in whatever he does. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. It's not like he's going to just I'm going to go try this thing out and see how it works for me, and if hopefully I make it. Like, no. If he's doing it, you best believe he's doing it. He's doing everything possible that he can do to be successful in whatever he's doing at the time. And if I'm an owner of any baseball team and Tim Tebow has a slight chance of being okay,
I'm signing him.
He's on my team.
Baseball needs it.
He's on my he's on my team because Tim Tebow at one point was the highest selling jersey in the NFL before he even threw a pass. Damn. So
in NCAA when he was I think a junior sophomore, he had the 3rd highest selling jersey in the world. It went LeBron, like Messi, Tim Tebow.
That's crazy.
Right.
Baseball needs something like this.
Yeah, and if he can go and even fit in, if he can hold his own.
Yeah.
You have to give him a shot because it's been some other guys that has not panned out so well or been on the fence of being okay or not okay, and you still took a shot on him. So if Tim Tebow has an opportunity to go and play and he looks semi-okay, you have to give him a shot no matter what.
He has a quality that I don't know him as well as an athlete, but he has a quality personally that's amazing that when Tim talks to you, no matter who you are, like at least for me, you are the only person in the room, and he's truly and genuinely interested in how you're doing.
Exactly.
And that guy is I've seen him at places like at this event, there's so much energy around him. Everybody wants a piece of him. But when he asks you, I told him I read a book, and he stopped. It was one of the first times I ever met him. He stopped and he looked at me, and he's such a big guy, and he's looking at me and he goes, "What'd you think of it?" And the way he asked me, I was like, "You're fucking really sincere. I really like you."
Well, I always say when guys go, "I'm going to pray for you," I'm like, "Yeah, okay." No, Tim's praying.
He's
literally going to his car, and you're getting a prayer.
He's a truly,
and he's so much closer to heaven than all of us.
Yeah, he's such a
and that's for damn sure.
He's way closer than me.
I love his brother. His brother,
they're the best. But I'll also say this: Tim is surrounded by the smartest agents and people in the world.
Yeah.
I promise you, if Tim could not play baseball, they would not advise him to do this.
Yeah.
Gary Sheffield, one of the best of all time, co-signed on Tim. Was like, homeboy can play.
If he's in a AAA league or whatever, people are coming out to see him. I mean,
he's going to sell out. I don't care.
Tim could be hitting a softball out here and people.
For sure.
What are you talking about?
Absolutely.
He would sell out this.
Tim's hitting softballs, you guys.
Tim's drinking a Diet Coke.
Everybody that works in this building would be taking off to go watch him swing it back outside.
This show would shut down. Yeah. What else you got, Ev? Good luck to Timmy, though. It's going to be good for him, man.
Yeah. Next current event we're going to do some more Olympics talk. Last night, Michael Phelps got to win his 20th gold medal. It's just
21st, right?
21st, right? No, 20th.
20th.
Okay.
And also, it was it meant a little more this time because we actually got kind of like a rival in the mix, which is nice. Like, it's usually such a nice sport. Like, obviously all sports are better if there's like a rivalry.
For sure.
Bent his rival over is like, give him a nice spanking. It's
and
pretty brutal.
His rival is
Chad Guy Bertrand Leclos
from France, right?
Fucking supervillain rival name I've ever heard of.
Say that name again.
Chad Guy Bertrand Leclos.
I won't. I'll let you have it.
Have you seen the video? Or there's a picture.
Yes.
It's amazing.
About what? Oh, his face.
Phelps. No. Phelps. He's winning the gold. He's ahead of the guy, and Phelps is eye on the prize. The French Pepe Le Pew is looking at Phelps and goes, the winners care about the end goal. Losers are focused on what the other guy's doing. And you see the other guy looking at Michael like this. He's mid-stroke. And Phelps is just like fucking beelining.
Wow.
Right.
Butterfly,
Yeah.
I believe, right?
Nuts.
Yeah, it was Butterfly.
He
I think he's
redeemed
South
himself.
African.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, greatest Olympian of all time.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
Suck on them balls, Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
Short
Yeah.
leg. That's what you get when you got short legs and a giant torso. Very long torso.
He's a big boy.
He's made for.
It's like a dolphin.
No, but his
Yeah.
legs, they did some measurement where his legs, his legs were on a regular, if they were proportioned, he'd be like 5'8".
Really?
Yeah, he's got crazy short legs compared to his
Do
torso.
you see the homegirl, the girl talent? And Missy Franklin, Lauren Lando's going to hate me bringing this up, but Missy Franklin just dropped the fucking ball. Colorado kid. She decided to go to college instead of taking like millions of dollars in sponsors. She's like, no, I wanted the college experience. Like, no, like you could have Avion, Tag Heuer, all this. She's like, that's going to come. I'm going to go to college.
Right.
She went to college and kind of lost her drive.
Strike
and then,
with the irons.
Yeah,
What is
man.
her event? What does she do?
Swims.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Katie
she's
Ledecky's
best
stealing
in
her
the world.
shine.
That's
Stealing a shine. That girl's a
That-
beast.
Savage.
She's a handsome young lady.
that's so crazy. I mean, and that's why I left in 3 years. I mean, you go to college to do what? Get a good job.
Yes.
And if someone's offering, college is going to be there. It's probably that college probably been
back
there
to
since
college. You always go back to
1857.
college.
It's
And
not going
it
anywhere.
ain't going nowhere. So
Yeah.
you take that money and you secure your future, then go back to college.
Yep.
Because you never know, man. Like,
You don't know.
You don't know who's coming out, especially in that sport. Like it's so tough to make money. You don't know who's coming out of the woodwork, what's coming up next. Maybe, you never know.
You never know.
For sure, take the money. What else
So,
you got to?
Also coming from the Olympics, one, obviously our gymnastics team is murdering everyone. Those girls just demolish.
They're so good.
The biggest margin of victory in an Olympic finals of all time.
Well, the U.S. is shitting on everyone in general.
Yeah, no.
We're shitting on everybody.
We America.
We America. We USA.
guys.
The girls track
We're
team.
America.
Yeah, maybe.
Americans.
So there's that, but also, so we're not even in the finals for this, but Olympic rugby is the shit.
Yeah, it's pretty
It
dope.
is so amazing to watch. Nate Ebner, who plays for the New England Patriots, is playing for the U.S. rugby team and is just smashing
Is he?
dudes.
Is he?
right?
Hell yeah.
There's a clip of him like taking this guy from Brazil and basically just like throwing him into the
Really?
stands. But even worse than that, I mean, I think if you break down any 10-second span from a Fiji Sevens game, because we talked about Fiji like a couple months ago on
Yeah.
the show, the rugby team supposed to
Yeah.
be like really good, whatever, going to the Olympics.
Fijians, yeah. Giants.
I've never seen manhandling like this in my entire life. I have a clip that I'll show you guys right now.
From homeboy from the Patriots?
From
the Fiji?
From the Fiji team.
Really?
The Fiji,
It's insane.
The Fiji.
Is it just
the
smashing? Is it smashing or
The
what?
Fijians are basically Samoans. They're giants. They're big people.
God, dog.
man.
Look at this.
Oh.
Later.
Truck stick, son.
Oh
Oh my
Dude, he's just
God.
pushing dudes down.
Literally grabbing dudes by the head and just.
It's like some about Mary with the Down
Who's that
syndrome
guy think?
kids.
Sean, thinks he's Shawne Merriman? What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, he'll have some problems if you put on some shoulder pads.
They,
No, he would, right?
they do, right? Like
Yeah.
the best rugby player, and they've tried it. You know, homeboy from the owner of the Cowboys. Jerry Jones has taken some risks and brought in like the best rugby players, and they just don't.
They
really
can't
don't-
transition.
They
They,
ju-
they
it's a
can't.
different game.
It's a different game, and that shoulder pads and helmet just it changes everything for them because
The athletes are different.
The athletes
like,
are very
can you
different.
imagine you if you decide to play rugby? Okay, go tackle Shawne Merriman. Oh yeah. Well, he's kind of big and slow. Well, no, he's faster. Than everyone. Just give him
the
ball.
rugby team did ask me to come out and practice with him
Did you do it?
right after I retired. Hell no.
Hell no, knees and
I
no
mean,
helmet and
look,
shit.
I can I? Yes, but I don't think the upside was there.
No.
No, what's the upside? Well, I guess there was a guy who didn't make the Olympic team. I forget. I think on the track team, and he was like, "How can I make the Olympics?" And then went to the rugby team. He's on the rugby team now.
That's so funny. How can I make the Olympics? I rugby.
Just give him the ball, run, man. Just boom. What else you got?
Yeah,
Ev?
unfortunately, the Fiji team eliminated the U.S. rugby team from gold medal contention today. But
Son of a bitch. We're getting
bad.
better
Damn
though.
Fijians?
yeah, all good. We're getting better.
I was watching an interview this morning on ESPN with Kyrie Irving, and they're asking him, they're like, how do you guys deal with the pressure? You've never lost an Olympic game, stuff like that. He's all, well, he didn't know how to answer. He's like, there's not much pressure. I mean, we win every game by 30, so I don't know. This kind of he was basically like, I don't know what to tell you. It's just
Right.
play.
Pressure.
And they're like, well, what's the one thing your head coach told you? Coach K from Duke, and he's like, not to showboat because we get out there and like alley-oop nonstop and kind of do whatever we want.
Don't dunk too much over their face.
Yeah, his coach was like, "Hey, you guys need to calm down."
Basically,
they ran some team just out of the gym.
Don't play NBA Jam.
Yeah, for real.
Just try not to do that. Yeah,
it's literally America. It's not even a competition. We just shit on them.
Ridiculous.
I love it. What else you got, Ev?
So you know that Chinese KHL hockey team that we were talking about, how they got literally their entire team's ass whooped by one guy on the Russian team?
Hell yeah.
They're pressing charges.
Can you do
Explain
that?
to me how a
no.
professional sports team presses charges.
Oh, what sport is this?
Hockey.
It's hockey.
The
The
Chinese
KHL
hockey
is the
team.
Russian pro league.
Is that the one that's just skating around punching everybody?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to.
He beat everybody up.
I didn't know that was real.
Well, the Chinese didn't know what the fuck was going on. They were like, why is this guy pulling my jersey over my head? This is no fun. I'm just trying
So
to
when
play hockey.
when I seen that the first time, I thought it was like a spoof.
Yeah.
No.
I thought it was because I wasn't keeping up with it a whole lot, and I went back and I checked on the hockey here
It
and
was
there,
like slap shot.
and I thought that it was a joke that somebody was playing around, that they were just riding around or drive by punching people in the face.
No, that guy ain't playing.
I mean, but the last
KHL's turned up.
yeah, the last one. Why would you punch a guy that was sitting down on the bench?
Yeah.
That was the last one. What did that guy do?
He went full psycho.
He went psycho. He just lost his shit.
Or he's awesome.
I understand everything that happened on ice. I can get it. You know what? Some guys pissed you off. You did something. But you went over to the bench and started punching guys in the face.
And the guy
wasn't even playing.
The guy seen no ice time. He's like, yeah, what the fuck, dude?
Male apes.
Get in the game.
Male apes will sometimes have what's called a tantrum, and they'll just blitz out and beat the shit out of everybody in their path.
what the guy did.
They're taking like girls, like little kid. They're like and they beat the fuck out of everybody, and then they calm down. But they'll have a tantrum, and all the whole clan will be like, he's gonna freak out. That's what this guy did. He just aped out.
Just on ice.
I mean, it makes the KHL is like the XFL if it had somehow been even crazier.
Yeah, the Russians are very aggressive, and since their economy
Pressing charges. Could there be a bigger bitch move?
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm against. I don't know if I'm against that. You know,
He whooped
this
that
guy.
so
I mean,
bad.
he whooped 5 people asses for no
assault,
reason.
brother.
You know, you get a 1 fight, 2 fights, even a third one. I'm gonna just do one because you just kicked me out the game. I'll punch you on the way by. But 5, you're really looking
Shawne,
for it.
You ever been in a fight, like a real fight, like in a bar?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How did it turn out for
As
the
a
other
grown
guy?
man, because I feel
No,
like
not as a grown man. No.
in like college,
Yeah, in college I've been in a few scuffles.
how'd
it couldn't have
how'd
ended
that
well
turn
for
out?
the other gentleman.
Well, the Nutcracker wasn't the only thing I'm undefeated in.
Did you do any boxing or any of that stuff? Do you ever train in any martial art?
Yeah. I actually, I trained with a lot of. I started with Jay a long time ago, in like 2005, 2006, and I was in San Diego around a lot of guys who was training. From San Diego all the way up to Irvine and the OC area. Temecula. It was a bunch of guys I used to go train with in Temecula all the
Anderson's up
time.
there,
There's been like obviously you're aware of it. There's like a ton of rumors around you fighting or doing WWE. Like I feel like you're always around it.
Yeah, I love it.
Can you explain that at all?
Yeah, first of all, I'm a huge WWE fan, and I actually got a chance to go spend some time and train at the facilities in Orlando.
What was that like?
It was hell. Don't get me wrong, I loved it, but it was a different kind of training, right? So you go and you're going nonstop for an hour. You're flipping, you're doing handstands, landing. If you don't land on that mat right, you can forget about it. And under those ropes, and I don't know if people understand this, but under those ropes in the ring, it's metal. It's steel.
Yeah.
So you hit those ropes. Yeah, it's fine to watch the matches on TV, but if you hit those ropes in practice 100 times, you're going to be bruised and calloused. Mm-hmm. And the object of it is to hit it so much to get calloused enough where it doesn't hurt anymore. So that's the mindset of it's going to take some time.
It's gonna take some time.
And then
All
too,
the time.
which
Take all the time.
and then too, which I didn't mind. They have the WWE Next, which is they get moved up from. It's like
It's
a
like
minor
their feeder team,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Feeder
But it's
league.
huge. It's everywhere.
Oh yeah, people love it.
Yeah, they love it, and they had all their talent and personalities. You had to jump into character, and at the time, God rest his soul, Dusty Rhodes was kind of the head of your personality and your character, and he calls everybody up there, and you work on your character once a week. You called up there, and you got to go in front of everybody. So I was down there training. I'm thinking I'm just down there training, and we're
How
talking.
long are you down there?
A few days.
And was the goal to actually pursue pro wrestling?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What would your name have been?
Well, he's
I'm
Shawne
sorry.
Merriman.
Lights out.
Hey,
Lights
bro.
out.
Yeah.
He kind of came in famous.
Wouldn't you have a
though.
stage
Yeah.
name, I guess?
Well, no, you're Shawne
okay.
Merriman, all-pro NFL
All right.
player.
Well,
anyways, but you went down there with the idea to pursue a pro wrestling career.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
We was and I was talking to Paul, who's Triple H there, and he's running the show down in WWE now, and anything's still a possibility. Nothing was off the table. It's just that they have anyway, I'll go back to the personality thing. So I'm sitting back there, and I'm after everyone, all the talent go up and they do kind of their character and who they are, and they work on their character and they get in their character. I'm sitting back there, and Dusty Rhodes said, by the way, I know you didn't think I was going to do this, but 56, bring your ass on up here. Right. So I'm like, oh, shit. Dusty Rhodes just called me up here to kind of get in the character in front of everybody. But I don't really have like a kind of a nerve. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So as I'm walking up there, I'm thinking like, oh, shit, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm going to try to find out my best Sunday football trash talking I got. And I literally got up there and let everybody have it. I talk shit to everybody.
And they loved it.
And they loved it. So
then
The plot thickens.
and so then they were like, all right, we're gonna put you in the WWX or where the hell it is.
yeah,
That was
so
plan?
the object was to go down there and train for however many months the training was going to take, and I was also doing the broadcasting too at the same time.
It's a lot.
So and I didn't mind doing both. So I would spend some time down in Orlando at their. By the way, their facilities down there like state of the art shit that they built.
Yeah,
I mean it's ridiculous. So I was going to go down there and stay, train down there for a period of time to come back and start doing my shows. At the time I was at NFL Network. So we worked out the schedule, and then it was like, oh, by the way, when you got to start traveling 200 plus days a year.
Oh yeah, they travel
that's when it was like, they were just launching the WWE Network at the time, which I ended up co-hosting on one of the big WrestleManias, which was adrenaline rush for days, because outside of loving it, I'm also a fan.
I mean, you are balls deep in WWE.
Oh yeah.
You have to explain it to me, because I do not understand it. As a guy that played high level sports, I can't watch it and get into it. I just can't, man.
Yeah, I can still.
I feel like The Rock owes me $60 when I bought that WrestleMania. I was like, this is some fake ass shit, man.
Yeah, but it's a lot to go into it, and you start appreciating the craft more than anything. Like it's almost like this: how many times that you might talk to somebody, right, who didn't know about the football player schedule, and they know about what goes into it, right, and they just think you just show up on game day, just like, hey guys, I'm ready to play some football. They have no clue of what goes on from Monday through Saturday.
I can understand that.
the
details,
planning.
the meetings, the planning, the scouting, the taking care of your body, the coaching.
But at least they know when you hit that quarterback, there's no script. That motherfucker actually probably got a concussion. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've trained in that. When I watch the WWE, it's like if someone came up to me before a fight, like, hey, during this training camp, you're going to throw a right hand and knock the guy out, and he's going to fall down 2 minutes into the round. Like, what are we doing?
Well, I mean, it's all kind of audibles. I mean, some of the talent don't know if they're even going on that day or not. I mean, there's all kind of audibles that you have to get ready for, and that's it. WWE is still not out the question. We kind of stopped talking a little bit about what was going on. They were launching the WWE Network.
You ain't going on the road 200 days a year, my man.
Look,
doing these small
you don't
shows.
know.
I'm telling you, doing these small shows in North Dakota.
I mean, I can pop up anywhere.
You never know.
We don't know.
Heard
So
it
you
here
love
first.
it.
I love it.
How would you say it compares as far as the training and the toughness of football compared to the WWE?
The regimen is the same. Well, as far as how many times you got to go, how many days you got to spend getting after it, you're going to probably spend about an hour or two in the ring a day. You still got all your weight training. It's not as structured, right? So guys have like their ring time or whatever time you have to go and show up. Then you have all you're getting in your character and working on your character. They have like they have rooms probably about half this size with microphones set up, styrofoam on the walls, and video camera, and the feed goes right to Vince McMahon. So anything you're doing in that ring when you're practicing or when you're working on your character, there's nothing that goes by that Vince don't know about.
I heard Vince, as far as a businessman, entertainment, you're talking the fucking Steve Jobs as far as that goes. Because the UFC and Dana White, they mimic everything the WWE does. Everything. They try to do exactly what the WWE plan is.
Right.
Yeah. That's
No,
where the
you're right.
blueprint comes from.
You're right, and it's not a bad model to go after. I mean, that's like the XFL trying to do what the NFL do, or European League trying to do what the NFL do. You have to mimic after somebody. Somebody set the ground for you. But not only I've been around the WWE, I've been around also the MMA.
You have that even MMA. Like when I told my boys you're coming around, like, oh, I think he wants to fight. I was like, for real? They're like, yeah, man. And I'm like, no, WWE. They're like, no, I think he wants to actually fight. Is there truth to that?
You know, I love training with the guys. Don't get me wrong. And as far as staying in shape, and hand-eye coordination, stamina, just feeling really good without the same impact the football training and stuff does with all the power and burst and going against a guy that's 350 pounds. MMA has always been the key for me. And I've been in there with Chuck Liddell. I've been in there with Randy Couture. My man Ty Woodley. He just he's a champ.
Love
When you say you've been in there, you spar with them and stuff?
No, I rolled around with them. I've done grapple. Technique wise, they've coached me up on a bunch of different things. That was probably more in a possibility right when I retired.
Sure.
Right now, with lights out, things have picked up so much that I don't know if I will be able to run a company and do that at the same time.
I guess I don't know what would be in it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess if they offered you a crazy amount of money, but
there would be money.
Unless it's your passion. It doesn't make sense.
And that's the thing. It's not like what Tim Tebow's doing, right? So Tim is getting into a sport that is nonviolent. And,
correct.
If it doesn't work out for him, you go home. In MMA, if it doesn't work out for you, you go home with some problems. You go to sleep.
Yeah.
Lights out, literally. And so that's not something that I would mentally just say, hey, I'm going to go try out. If I was to do it, I want to make sure that I got a full training camp set up. I got the best coaches, best staff of people around me, because being a former athlete, I know that's what it is. It's all training. And so I have some other stuff, coming up involving MMA. I love to be around. I'm around a bunch of guys. I've talked to Scott Coker's, of Bellator several times about
really good
out, man.
Right?
You know what thing I really love about Scott Coker is he does everything out the box. And he's not afraid. And, we had even the Dynamite 2 fight that they just had in St. Louis. I was there. He had 2 rings set up. You got a ring and then you got a cage. And I'm just sitting back. And I went to the one in San Jose too. But I'm just looking back and forth. And I'm just loving it because this is some crazy shit, right? And I just love doing things out the box. And then when he says he's going to do something or says it, he'll talk. He's personable.
That's the huge thing with him. Like most promoters, fuck, man, they're promoters. They're leeches. It's kind of this dirty, slimy rat game. With Scott, it's not that way.
Right.
Like I remember I was out, Bellator flew me out to San Jose. I was there with my brother, and I was talking with Scott, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's like a regular dude. Like, I don't have to put on some front, and he's not, there's no hidden agendas here. It was cool, man. That's why he's doing well.
Yeah, and I'll be at the big fight August 26th for Bellator 162 in Anaheim at the Hyundai Center.
Is that Henderson?
At the Hyundai. Yep, Ben Henderson.
Yeah.
I think he's fighting Patricio or something like that, right?
Pitbull, yeah.
Yeah,
Benson's
fun fight.
the man.
But the prelims are going to be nuts too. So I'm getting there pretty early. I think Kimbo Slice's Junior son. He's
Baby
on the
Slice.
card. Baby Slice. I want to check him out.
So you're really in MMA,
Joey
man.
Davis.
That's
yeah.
Cool. Are you commentating or no? Do you commentate too or not?
Yeah, maybe probably some stuff down the road. I love being around the fighters though. When they have their training camps and stuff, I'll go for a few days and train and start. I get in there, man. I like to mix it up, but just this whole thing with lights out and what I'm doing, man. I'm really targeting some guys at this point to start repping lights out,
stuff like
brand ambassador
Cool,
stuff.
man. Good, man.
You got a drop of knowledge, B?
I do. I read a really interesting statistic. The World Health Organization says that wealthy countries have 8 times the depression that poor countries do.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I can believe it.
And the theory,
they work so much.
The theory is interesting. No, it's not. A lot of these poor countries work long hours. What do you think it is?
Their Bentleys are breaking down.
The worries of losing their money.
Nope, but that's good. But because there's a lot of
Because they're such a strict regiment, like they don't get enough.
Nope.
Because money doesn't breed happiness, so maybe they're not around family and friends. They don't have the same network.
There you go. So one of the biggest things is that they went back. So there's Sebastian Junger wrote a book recently called Tribe, and it looks at early Native American cultures and things, because the history of this country. He also wrote Into Thin Air. He wrote Under the Banner of Heaven. He's a great author. Writes really exciting books. I've not read Tribes, but one of the things he talks about is this phenomenon they noticed in the 1700s in this country. So Ben Franklin wrote about this as well, where before the West was we started expanding in the West, and there were the Indian wars. Before that, the settlers lived along with the Native Americans. And what was really interesting was that the Native Americans, there was almost literally no case where Native Americans went and lived with the colonialists. But there were many, many cases of colonialists that would go over and live with the Native Americans. Because they were having
a better time,
Yes,
happier?
not only that, during the Native American wars with the settlers, when the settlers would be caught, if they weren't killed, they were held as captives. Very typically, when they were allowed to leave, they didn't leave.
They're like, nah, I'm good, man.
They were like, I'm good.
Right.
Well,
And then they started to kick those white devils out. 'Cause the white man be around the Indian like, achoo! And the Indians start dying.
that was a huge issue.
Yeah.
That was a huge
So
issue.
you're not
by
bringing
the
that
way.
shit over
The
here?
hell no.
That got so bad that the missionaries weren't allowed to go try to convert them because they're like, you're killing the Native Americans. They don't have enough of the stuff. But what was fascinating is that what they found was that Native Americans were so communal. They were so communal, that
It wasn't a movie. There's a movie.
Dances with Wolves?
Dances with Wolves. No, it's not.
Little Big Man with Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, that's right.
And so what they
I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh, he's not that much smarter than me. There's a movie on this shit.
I've seen it. They're usually movie plots.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a movie. But the point is that they were so communal.
talking about Pocahontas.
And what they're finding is that when you make a lot of money, the first thing you do is you buy privacy. The first thing you do is you buy a bigger house, you build a wall, you have a car, you live an autonomous lifestyle, but it's separated. You might even move to a better neighborhood away from your friends or your family. That is maybe not so good for your mental health. It may not be so good for your happiness.
So is not people asking you for money and coming over to borrow things every 5 seconds.
True.
That's
Different
true
world
too.
now.
Yeah.
That's true
Well,
too. So it's
I
an
might take some
interesting
heat
thing.
on this, and you would know too, Sean, with your background. But I was watching this show, Noisy, and it's on Viceland. They like go into the hood and they're in.
I love Vice. I love
the
Vice.
fucking best.
It's the best.
They have a new one called The Black Market, and they go into how in the hood they're drinking this drink called lean. So it's like it's like cough syrup with codeine mixed with Sprite, and there's this
Started by Lil' Kim, I
There's
think.
this no, definitely not. There's this guy in Houston, definitely not.
He drinks a lot of cough syrup.
There's no. You mean Lil Wayne?
I mean Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Lil Kim.
We'll get through this.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying though.
Yeah.
But so they mix all these drinks, and then they show them drinking it, and there's this mixologist, and I was like, God damn! Like they don't have much money, but they're on wife beaters, and they're with their boys. They're like
Right.
on the yard. I was like, that shit looks fun as fuck.
Yeah.
Like I want to go
Is there
there.
anything
Man.
better than hanging with your boys? Like we always
It's
talk
all
about
they
that.
do.
No
They
worries,
just
no
chill.
worries, no responsibility.
Not really.
Just
There's
like
no
hell
huge
with it.
car payment. They're
Fuck,
just
hanging and laughing and being a silly goose.
I mean, they're out-
my favorite thing to do. I like a good meal though, and I like my Tesla. Now, I'm not saying
it looks
you need
fun,
some money.
man.
You need some fucking money. I'm
Let's
not saying,
I definitely want to try that drink though, lean. I don't
and
know
I'm
what
not
would
saying
happen.
poverty makes you happy, everybody.
I'm just saying they look happier
That's
than
what the World Health
I'm just happy
Organization-
those families they showed in Bompton look happier than when you drive by Malibu.
There you
That's
go,
all I'm saying.
And
Hey,
Calabasas.
man,
Yeah.
next fight companion, just replace the wine with lean and see where it goes.
I wonder what would happen. They showed people dying and stuff. I want some though.
Yeah.
I want some.
I want that purple drink.
No.
Let's go to fan questions with Sean. We had a shitload for you, buddy. But let's do like 4 because this is going.
We
All right, works for me.
Gotta get the man out of here.
All right, what is the best and worst part about being in the NFL that most people wouldn't know?
Obviously, well, the best part is the money, and you're getting paid to do something that you love to do. I mean, how many times you actually get paid all that money for something you actually really want to do that hardly ever happens. The worst part of it is the people you lose from having money and being in that situation, because it's very few times that the athlete changes. It's always that circumstances around them. And when certain people can adjust to, hey, man, I can't do that anymore. Now that was a long time ago. When they can't adjust, it's like you got to cut them off. And they care, they are good people, but it's people that you can't have around you anymore. So you lose a bunch of people along that process.
Did you see the story on Trent Richardson?
Yeah, which is crazy.
He had like a whole entourage and started affecting the way he played. And when he got traded from, the Browns to Indy, they all went with him, and he found out he was paying all these bills, and they took his credit cards. And it's nuts, man. That's the prototypical story you hear about.
Went broke.
What was it? What did they spend? His friends and family spent $1.6 million money in 10 months.
Yeah, in 10 months, it was crazy. They had like 20 accounts on Netflix throughout his family. It was like 20 hammers. They had his card on Amazon where they were just ordering every other day. It was just nuts. It was one of the most, I guess, bizarre cases I've seen.
He paid his brother like $200,000. There's like, what are you doing? He's like, chill.
Right.
It's sad because I think it was Saban's the Alabama coach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came out and was like just kind of I think it was from Saban, was describing how Trent is as a person. It's like he's just like the nicest guy ever. He just can't.
They took advantage of it.
He just wants to help his friends out.
Yeah.
It's like,
and he went broke.
Sometimes you got to tell your friends now.
Well, he got cut. He got hurt and got cut from the NFL. Now he's trying to get back, and then he was in camp with Baltimore, and then got re-injured. So he has some shit to go through.
Hasn't had the strongest.
What
NFL
else you
career
got,
so
Ev?
far. Next one. What is the most surprising thing about the inner workings of the NFL as an organization? Has there ever been something that you've just said, like, I can't believe this is how they do blank?
Yeah, the craziest thing I've ever seen, well, not the crazy, I've seen a bunch of crazy stuff, but one of the craziest things I've seen was a guy who got traded and didn't know. We were in the locker room, and we were watching ESPN, and his name went across the bottom of the ticker.
Oh, God.
And we were sitting there reading. I'm not going to, because I don't want to throw him under the bus, so I won't.
Is this for the Chargers or
just for
Buffalo?
the Chargers. And we were sitting in the locker room, and he didn't know his name like flickered across the bottom of ESPN. He got traded, and he was like, "What?" And I said, "What the? You didn't know?" And we were sitting in the locker room chilling. We just got out of the shower, we had changed, and he got traded.
It's business,
and right there. And same type of thing happened to me. I'm watching the draft. I think it was like in 2010, and they drafted Larry English, who ended up playing behind me in San Diego. And they said, Chris Berman grabbed his ear like he's listening to something. We're hearing Shawne Merriman's on the trading blocks. I'm saying, what the nobody told me. I'm the last person. So, that's some of the craziest things that happen.
Shawne Merriman's on the trading block.
Let's do two more. Have them
right.
Get them out of here.
Do you think NFL players make enough in comparison to owner profits?
We're getting there. Yeah, we're getting there.
Because when you signed as a first round draft pick, it was different.
Yeah.
Now, they're still making decent money, but before you weren't seeing the Cam Newton, the freaking, the Sam Bradford money. The money you got.
Yeah, and so many people try to compare it to other sports, but other sports like baseball started 30 or 40 years before the NFL. Basketball started years before the NFL.
Obviously not as physical. Careers are way shorter.
Yeah, exactly. But the play, the CBA and the player agreements and stuff like that is catching up. You're seeing guys now getting guarantees of $40 and $50 million.
You get Von Miller.
Yeah.
Think about when you played. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's getting there. So I can't really complain too much, and the players shouldn't be able to complain either.
They're definitely killing it. What else you got?
All right, last one we'll do. Do you have any aspirations of making another run at the NFL or possibly as a coach rather than a player?
Neither. Really. One thing is a player. My time was up. It's not that I can't play. Even when I retired, it's not like I couldn't go back and play, but I couldn't go back and play the same way that I was capable of playing. I mean, after the knee injury and Achilles injury, which as a pass rusher, that's what you have. You have
Achilles is a bad one.
Yeah, the Achilles is a bad one. And I can go back and play. I played okay. My last year in Buffalo, when I went back to Buffalo, I played okay my last year. Started the rest of the season. But I didn't have what I had when I had the burst and the speed and all the things that made me the player that I was. I didn't have that anymore. So once that left, my competitiveness stopped.
Because you know what you were capable of.
Because I know I was capable of. I know that on certain plays, I knew that the guy wasn't going to be able to block me. And once that mental kind of punch happened where I knew that a guy could possibly block me, I couldn't make this play anymore. It got to me mentally, and I just didn't feel like I was a player that I was.
That shows your intelligence, though, because a lot
Yeah.
of guys are like, I'll ride it out, and it ruins their career.
Yeah.
Like you look at, and I'm not saying it ruined his career, but you look at a guy like Terrell Suggs who tore his Achilles heel. And as a defensive end outside linebacker, God, there probably couldn't be a worse injury, man.
Yeah. It's
and
the
he
wor-
hasn't been the same.
No, it's the worst you can have, and you can go out there and be okay player because the guys who are exceptional, and I'm talking about the All Pros and the Pro Bowls and stuff like that. You go out and you have a big injury, you can still go out there and play and hang with everybody else, but you become very average.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have that as a coach. The only reason why I say I wouldn't have too much stuff going on now that I can't spend 12, 14 hours a day like they do. I mean, that's. They spend even. I give them all the credit in the world, and when I see coaches get paid, I'm like, you got it.
Yes.
It's well worth it because you're taken away from your family, your friends. You don't have a life.
I think it's the worst job in the world.
It is.
It's one of them. They spend so many hours. There's no 10-hour work days. They're nonstop in the off season. They're recruiting.
Yep.
Their families, they'll see at like team dinners.
Right.
They're in shit towns recruiting. It's a terrible job. They start off, as like GAs and they work their way up, and hopefully they get a job. It's fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
They don't make much money either until they get to the
you
high
get the big
levels.
time, yeah.
It's a beast, man. Well, booyah. Shawne Merriman, man. They can find the website, all your clothing, everything.
at lightsoutbrand.com and put in Lights Out 50 for a 50% discount. I have something going on right
That's a
now,
nice
and
little
then
discount, sir.
man, it's a bunch of cool stuff on there. And I got a huge announcement. Follow me on Twitter at Shawne Merriman. That's the same thing with Instagram. It's Lights Out 56 for Snapchat.
Well, man, we can't thank you enough. We know you're a busy dude, and I've always been a fan, man. So
Thanks,
for
brother.
coming in, brother.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Thank you.